Welcome to the Central Kentucky Computer Society Tech Night. Our topic tonight is selecting the right technology. And I've got Ollie here from Kentucky Trade, so I'm going to turn it over to him, and he'll bring up his slideshow as well and give you some information about him also. Thank you. Come on up.
Thanks for repeating. All right, I'm going to pull my slides up. Can I close this?
Yes.
Yeah. Need to do screen sharing it down.
Yeah.
All right. And you see my cursor too, right?
Yeah.
Am I able to use that? Okay. Thanks for joining. My name is Ali. I've been with KY Trade Computer Services since 2020, and my tech experience, not exactly career, started in early 2000s, maybe 2000 itself, when I was in high school. Worked part-time with a company who did business networking and all that. And then I've been on and off on this industry ever since. And KY Trade itself has been around since 1989. It was Kentucky Trade Computer Services, then changed name to KY Trade. So I've been through a few transitions, but it's been there in Virginia Avenue the whole time. Even before that building existed, it was on the building that was there before this new building. And Freddie was the old owner, and we took over in 2019. And Freddie had a glorious time with KY Trade. And then it went down, and mostly he lost the business with the city after changes happened there. And then since we took over, we slowly started to go up. It's not like it's booming, but it constantly has been growing, and we are close to where it was previously. Today, I would like to talk about how to use the right computer. This is the first part I want to talk about. And the second part is how to use the right data storage technology. I'd love to speak about a few more areas like document generation, printing and scanning, and maybe home networking, a few things like that, but I don't think I'm going to get to. It's not enough time here. So I'm going to keep it limited to these two because these are the most important ones. And let's just jump into it. All right. I think the first thing, if you want to choose the right computer for your needs, I think the first thing to can I hide this?
I can drag it up.
Just drag it up.
Okay.
No?
Yeah.
The first thing you may want to think about, if ever, is the choosing between Mac or Windows. I said if ever because for a lot of people, for most people, it's not a question. Most people are familiar with Windows and they would like to stay with Windows. They don't see a reason to move on from it, and vice versa on the other side of the spectrum. And that's what really matters. But if you want to put a gun on my head and ask me come up with pros and cons, this is what I'm going to say about it. Well, Mac has been traditionally more secure. Part of that is because of the engineering and structure of it, but it's also because it's not as common. And if you're Mr. Hacker, when you want to build a virus or something, you're gonna make it for Windows, right? It's more common. There are higher chances of success. Windows is getting more secure as well, so the gaps are all in all aspects. These are getting close to each other. Hardware quality again traditionally high with Mac, and well, Windows is a larger spectrum in that regard, and laptop experience is a lot more. I think that this is more like the most uh, differentiating factor here. Laptops, I feel like laptops, whenever they are Mac, they are really laptops. You can use them on your lap in the bed. I don't recommend using this. I can hear this laptop in front of me. The fan is constantly working on high speed, but that never happens with a Mac, or not easily happens with a Mac. So more laptop experience, and they have a lot of gestures to move around, to navigate, and use the touchpad. So touchpad is more like a mouse on Windows devices. It's more than a mouse on Apple devices. And the Apple ecosystem is the other advantage of Apple because it integrates very well with your iPhone, with your Apple Watch, with your earbuds, AirPods, and does like interesting things. It's going to amuse you. And on the other side, the pros about Windows is it's it's really universal. It's built to work with whatever device that's out there, and it's highly compatible with everything, with every software. There is a broader range of software that are compatible with um, Windows competing with Apple, and also traditionally it gave people more control over the devices. Like you can do more with your devices, but that gap is also closing because Windows is limiting like more advanced access to the hardware or the core program as well. The other thing is gaming. If you want to do gaming, no, you're not going with Apple. You're not going to get anything run on that laptop. Or if you're rich enough to buy a desktop, an Apple desktop, and also at the same level, you're gonna get Windows devices that are more cost effective. The next thing you want to talk about, you want to think about is if you want a desktop or laptop or some other technologies. I mean, sometimes you might feel this is not even a question, but there is a trade-off here. It's not like you can have a computer that's similar to that computer right there, that big computer, but in this size, and have everything included in it and just work on like that big computer over there. It's not like that. It's the performance is greatly different between a laptop and a desktop at the same sort of level, if you consider the same level. Of course, you don't want to compare a high-end laptop with a lower-end desktop computer. The other advantage, so desktops are more powerful. The other advantage of desktop computers is durability, and they just work forever. They work 24/7 and forever. And they are again designed to stay on 24/7. This laptop is really hardly close to anything like ergonomics because everything is just bunched up in a small area, but you can actually have a decent desktop experience with a desktop computer. And the other thing is laptops usually do not come with high resolution screen, or if they do, they are extremely expensive. But a 2K or 4K external monitor, like just a monitor, is not that expensive anymore. So you trade all these off with portability. Essentially, the only thing on the other side is portability. And also lower cost because you have to buy a monitor, probably desk, keyboard, mouse, peripherals, all those, they are all included in here. And then overall, laptops are going to be cheaper. So you got to see which one is more important for you. There are other options too, like nano stations and AIOs, all-in-one computers. So these are the type of computers that are like nano stations are those very small compact computers. They're the ones that I would always say if you see a computer that's less than a foot long in one dimension, that's probably a laptop, essentially a laptop inside. So you're going to get all the um, specifications of the laptop inside that. Why do they have this? Because um, you would like they want to have they are designed for circumstances where you do want some kind of desktop experience, but you don't have room like this. If you check, if you see, you have seen this in hospitals and places like that, if you pay close attention, they are almost always either an all-in-one, and you know what all-in-one is, right? It's like a monitor, it's a little bit thicker, and all the guts of the laptop is built into that space. But you have to have an external keyboard and mouse. So again, the main question is how portable you need to be. But what if you need, oh, let me talk about this first. Let me show you. This column is a Core i3 12th generation. That's the first two digits show the generation. This is a laptop CPU Core i3. This is a desktop CPU Core i3. So same level, same generations, but you can see the big difference that's there in the processing power, which is also represented by the power consumption. So yeah, Intel did that. They named them the same, but those 4 or 5 digits and letters is what matters the most. Okay, so Core i3 laptop, not comparable with Core i3 desktop. That's the first thing. Also about memory. So this is laptop memory, this is desktop memory, and aside from the size, you should also be able to tell the bandwidth with this. So these are little pins over here. The bandwidth or the transfer rate with this is larger. It's just larger road. It's a wider road. So these are all kinds of differences that are there. I'm just mentioning these two as a couple examples, but the same differences are in motherboard, similar differences. The similar differences are in the interfaces that handle data transfer with the hard drive. So I want you to give more serious thought about this. It's definitely a trade-off. Well, what if you need both portability and desktop experience? Maybe the easiest way is laptop docking. That thing over there is a docking station, this thing. And what it does is it allows you to connect 2 or 3 monitors, a mouse, a keyboard, SD cards, LAN cable, your headphone, maybe a bunch of other things, all by just connecting. Oh, the power too, the charging port for the computer, all through one single connection. So you don't have to set up the whole office whenever you take your computer out, which you and then come back. Um, it's a great way to manage the problem, but there are downsides too. The first thing is performance. You are sort of getting the desktop experience, but the performance is not as much. And the computer, the other thing is most computers are, this is not very suitable for like lower end computers because this kind of handling several monitors, most importantly, is resource intensive. And the other thing is that just this gear is very prone to failure. It happens a lot. They break down. So not 100% reliable. People can ask questions, right? During the overview.
Sure.
Okay. The other way to manage this trade-off, if you need both portability and power, is remote access. That's what I do. So what I do is I have this supercomputer desktop at home. It's a very decent computer, high end, and it's on running 24/7, but I go everywhere and I need uh, to be able to have basically that computer with me everywhere I go, which is not possible. So I have this little Mac, and I whenever I need to do a heavy resource intensive, computation intensive kind of work, I connect to my computer at home and manage it. This picture is from my computer. So this is my Mac, and within that you can see my Windows 11 environment, and I can maximize the size of this, and it's going to look completely like I'm there. So it's not a small window. I can full screen that, and um, there are a few ways to do that. Two main category. The first way to do it is the built-in remote desktop protocol, or RDP. That's a built-in way within Windows. And there are a bunch of other third-party software. I think the most common one is TeamViewer, and there are a bunch of others too. There are upsides and downsides with either one of them. So Microsoft RDP is more secure, and in the way it transmits the data, it's more secure, but also in the way it execute the experience. So what does that mean? So with TeamViewer, you should be so whenever your target computer is on, the other side, whoever is at the other side, whoever is at the target computer, can actually see what you're doing. Okay, unless the monitor is off. But with the remote desktop, it basically logs you out from that computer and logs you in through the internet connection. So all they see, if somebody is at the target side or at the remote side, is going to see the login screen. And RDP is also more reliable in terms of like TeamViewer and other software need to be running the whole time. And if for some reason that app is not running, then it's not going to work. And RDP is free, especially if you have, I think it needs to have Windows Pro on one side, at least one side, but other than that, it's free. TeamViewer is also free. Others have free versions too, but those free versions are not suitable for remote access. I mean, for remote controlling your computer, but for providing support because it needs a person to be available on the other side and provide the credentials to log in. Downside of RDP is it requires a little bit of setup, especially if you want to connect through internet from outside of your home or your office. It does require a little bit of networking, specifically port forwarding on your router, so that that connection is forwarded to the right place. So that's the downside, but that's a one-time thing unless you change your router or factory reset your router. And the other upside with TeamViewer and those other software is that they have a support. There's a person you can call or chat with. Any questions about that? Has anybody ever faced that question? Has anybody had dealt with that before? Having access? I do see a lot of people. I want to see if you have had any challenge like that. Okay.
Yeah. I think it's the first that I really knew that you could do that.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's news to me.
Okay.
Well, when I was working in the hospital, we did that.
Okay. What did you use?
Whatever they had on there.
Okay.
Because they are IT and everything's in Louisville, and we were here. And so there was a lot of times that we would have remote access, and they would have ours, we'd have theirs. But I'm retired. Don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
You can't use the RMD with a tablet or your phone.
Oh, very good question.
That's a rhetorical question.
You can.
Oh,
You can. So before it was limited, but now, as you can see, I am using it's more cross-platform. All I'm trying to say, and I am using the remote protocol on Mac, even though it's a Microsoft product. But I'm using that remote desktop protocol on Mac to connect to Windows, and so I can do the same thing with my phone too. I can connect to my computer.
so it doesn't have to be a Windows application yet.
One side doesn't.
Yeah.
It does need on one side of the case.
Right.
But now, if your remote computer is a Windows computer, that's enough, and it's very reliable. The same thing, the same technology would work with Android devices. So it's a relatively broad coverage.
You use that to, if somebody needed help, I connect to their computer and take it over and you go, I figure out what the problem was.
We don't use this for that purpose, because for two reasons. First, it requires a little bit of setup, and it's not suitable for one-time thing. And the second thing is, like I said, it's going to log you out from the other side. Whereas in remote support, you kind of need both sides to be able to see the same thing, right? So we actually do use TeamViewer. We have a TeamViewer account, an expensive one, for providing remote support. If you go to our website, click on remote support, that's what it's going to download on your computer, TeamViewer. But so for one-time thing, I prefer TeamViewer and other software. But if you're planning to have access to your computer the whole time, long term, that's a different story. RDP is more preferable in that case. So let's talk about a little bit. Uh, let's talk a little bit about the specifications. How do you? So you want to buy a computer? Which computer do you need? Let's start with CPU. So it always comes down, of course, to how you use your device, right? So research that. However you want to use your device, research how you want it, what specifications you need. Um, if you need if you have general use for your computer, um, we do not be the minimum we recommend is a Core i3 or a AMD Ryzen 3 computer or CPU, 10 generation on the Intel side. Right now we are into 14th generation. Okay, so 10th generation is like a couple, 3 years old. The 14th generation Core i3 is not out. The last time I checked was not out yet, but Core i7 and Core i9 are out there. I think Core i5 is too. AMD Ryzen 3, we are into 7th generation right now, but still Ryzen 3 is okay if you want to buy a refurbished computer. And so that those first two uh, numbers indicate the generation. So anything that says Celeron, Pentium, or AMD A09, 11, 12, you don't want to go with those. I know they are um, financially favorable, like $200 laptop. It's not going to cut it. Don't go there. And it's just not even for basic use. There are this is for basic use, like the very thing that you call basic use. Just I don't know, paying bills online. Just that you do need this, nothing less than that. And these are the specifications of Core i3 10 generation. So it has 4 cores, 8 threads. That means each core is able to independently process 2 string of data, if you would. So 8 logical cores, but 4 um, like physical processors and 4.33 gigahertz. This is the laptop version of Core i3 10 generation, which is of course lower than this, but this is like the bare minimum. So 2 cores, 4 threads, 4 gigahertz, nothing less than that. And if you're having a special software that you want, research it. The minimum and recommended specifications are always mentioned in the software website, whatever they are. And you may want to take a look at that, but don't rely on it. They tend to um, lower the actual specs so that they would cover a broader range of devices. But you can look, just Google and find online what do actual people, actual users say about that, and what do they recommend, and stay one level up above that. Just because that thing, whatever that software, is not going to be the only thing that you would be doing. You're going to end up having to multitask from time to time. So that's the rule of thumb if you are using any specific software. You are a CPU intensive user if you are gaming. Oops. Gaming is intensive on everything. If you create media and do content creation, so if you are somebody who needs to do presentations like this over and over, you don't want to go with the minimums that I just said. You want to go towards the middle. If you are a scientist or engineer and you want to run programs, under no circumstance I recommend minimum requirements. A lot of times you have to go with higher end computers if you're running like MATLAB or GIS. Geologists do that. You do want to consult with the manufacturer website and forums and people who use that, what I just said. If you do coding, if you do machine learning and artificial intelligence, those are all good reasons to move on. Now, Copilot doesn't run on your side, okay? So Copilot is AI, but it doesn't run on your side. It's an interface between you and AI that's somewhere else. Virtualization, server, and consider RDP within virtualization or server, a type of virtualization or server. So if you're doing that, you want to go towards higher and or mid-range. The difference between Intel and AMD, again, the same thing, not a big difference. I would say the main difference is in compatibility, which is broader in terms of Intel, a lot of more software, more hardware work with Intel devices and chipset and CPUs. It's a little bit more reliable too, but really, really insignificant. Like, let me put it this way. During these last like 3 or 4 years that I've been working at KY Trade, I have seen maybe 5 or 6 failed AMD CPUs. That's really nothing. That's really, really nothing. So very insignificant. But that number for Intel is probably 2, if maybe even 1. So the defect rate is lower, but both of them are very low. Processing power is a little bit higher for Ryzen. So the way the Ryzen places their chips comparing to Intel is it sort of fills in the gaps. So this is Core i3 and this is Core i5. Ryzen 3 is sort of between these two. And Ryzen 5 is sort of between Core i5 and Core i7 performance-wise. So there's that difference too. And AMD processors are a bit cheaper. Also, AMD happens to be more common with gamers and a lot less common with laptops. If you're going with a laptop, chances are that chances to find an AMD laptop is a lot less. How much memory do you need? Well, no less than 8 gigabytes. Again, there are computers out there that are like Celeron, CPU, and 4 gigabytes of memory, and you don't want those. So no less than 8 gigabytes. If you're buying a refurbished or used computer or thinking of like using one anyways, you want to make sure it's at least DDR4. DDR5 is out too. It's been a few months. So you make sure about DDR4, and it's easy to max out your memory. Maybe you might consider multitasking or having a bunch of tabs open on your browser, basic use, but it's not. Actually, browsing gets a lot of space. I just upgraded my memory at KY Trade to 128 gigabytes of memory just because that's how I use my computer. It's a lot of tabs open there. and they do consume a lot of memory. That's the downside of these new browsers. Chrome started a new way of managing that problem. So they remove the data from tabs that are sort of idle and free up memory that way. But it comes at a cost. Whenever you go back to that tab, it takes a short time for it to load. It doesn't feel like that tab is open. It feels like that tab is being open. So I upgraded my memory to 128 and disabled that feature on Chrome, and I'm a lot happier. Multitasking, if you need to browse and create a PowerPoint slide on the other side, that's another reason for going with more than 8 GB. And multi-display too. If you're wanting to use your laptop in a docking station, 8 GB is not for you. And these are the uses that are memory intensive. Like I said, extreme browsing, audio and video editing. Audio and video editing or video editing is also graphics intensive, but a lot of people don't realize that it's also memory intensive more than actually gaming. Photo editing is memory intensive and also gaming, of course. Selecting the right storage. Please do not use anything with mechanical hard drives. Ditch it, just ditch it. And it doesn't make sense anymore. The performance difference is so high and the price difference is so narrow that this doesn't make sense to happen. So we at KY Trade, we have this policy of selling only the things that we recommend. And we stopped selling anything that has mechanical hard drives like 3 or 4 years ago. Just in parentheses, do you know what's the difference in mechanical hard drives and SSD? So this is a mechanical hard drive, just quickly for those who don't know. It has this disk, which we call platter, and this arm that goes back and forth, and there's a reading head at that tip. So it's like a CD, and this goes back and forth and reads the data from it. So it's mechanical. Moving part, the part that goes back and forth. And mechanical hard drives are not only slow, you can see that over here, but also they start going bad from day zero, right from the day zero. And the common experience with old computers going slow over time, that's a common understanding. That's because of this. Nothing else degrades that sharply. This does. This degrades and computers are slow. And a lot of people reach out to KY Trade and are like, my computer is slow. Do I need a new computer? Can I upgrade the memory or what should I do? And most of the time, the answer is that thing. But this is the alternative. Same thing, stores data, solid state drive is all electronics. And this is even newer, a M.2 solid state drive that's so tiny but so fast. Look at this chart. That first one is the mechanical hard drive. It's 7,200 RPM, so it's a fast mechanical hard drive. And then the second one is the 2.5-inch SSD, so it's like 5 times faster than the mechanical hard drives. And the third one is an M.2 SSD. I think Samsung 980 Pro is PCIe Gen, and PCIe is the transfer protocol. PCIe Gen 3. We are into Gen 5 right now. The most dominant thing in the market, in the higher end of the market at least, is Gen 4, and Gen 4 easily goes up to 5,000 over there. So surpasses even this. So, but again, remember, the other important thing is they go back from day one, and it's not just the speed, it's reliability too. And right now on our new computers, we only use this Gen 4 business gaming computer, or the laptops that we carry only contains this Gen 4 and above. Not even this. We do have 2.5 SSD on our refurbished computers, but not on the new computers. But there are computers built out there. They're out there, and you can buy them that do come with mechanical hard drive, even as the primary boot drive. This other way that was the way to go previously was to have a small SSD and a large hard drive on the same computer. We don't do that anymore because SSD is not that expensive. And again, the price and the balance between cost and performance and reliability makes it no-brainer. Do not go with anything less than 250 gigabytes. Again, there are things out there that Celeron or Intel, 4 gigabytes, and like 64 gigabytes of storage. It doesn't cut it. It's not going to be enough. The first few months, you're going to fill it up, or Windows going to fill it up by itself by updating, receiving updates, and you do want to get those updates. So 250 is minimum, but if you are type of person who is planning to store a lot of pictures, media, pictures, video, sound, but mostly video and pictures, then you want to go higher than this, do 512 or a terabyte. And it's difficult to find laptops with a terabyte there, but 512 or 500 is there's enough of them out there. Remember what were the good brands with mechanical hard drives? Western Digital, Seagate, not anymore. They do produce SSDs. They do not own the technology though. Samsung does. Samsung owns the technology. A lot of other brands do use Samsung flash memory chips. These are flash memory chips. And ProShow does too. And these are the core producers. Let's talk a little bit about graphics cards. Just a quick introduction on how graphics cards, with the ranking of graphics cards work. And I'm just going to quickly mention how it works with NVIDIA, the prime manufacturer of graphical chipsets. This is 3050, 3060, so we call it 30 series. And there are 20 series. There are 40 series out right now since like 6 months ago. And this picture was produced before that. So 3050 is the lower one with the 30 series. Then there's 3060 and there's 3060 Ti, 3070 Ti with 40 series. And you see this is a higher range, generally a higher range than the 20 series. 20 series is generally a higher range than 10 series. And same thing, if 40 series was in this chart, you would have seen the same thing. With 40 series, we have 4060 right now, 4060 Ti, 4070, 4070 Ti, then 4070 Ti Super, and it goes all the way up to 4990, which is a huge beast. This baby over here, 24 gigabytes of dedicated memory. And whenever I started noticing graphics card, the first graphics card I had was 256 megabytes. This baby is for 24 gigabytes. And the graphics card that I have, that I'm using, is 3070 right now, and I do run all games I want on 2K, and a good refresh rate as well. So 4090 is really, really a beast, both in terms of performance and in size. That's it. That's right there. It's huge. It's difficult to handle whenever you're building a computer with a 4090 graphics card. It's difficult to handle it. And we are reaching a point where traditional uh, ways to like hold this in place, the PCIe slot and that thing that screws to the case, is barely enough to hold that thing in place. So why would you need a graphics card? First thing, if you're a gamer, you do want to go with an NVIDIA with a graphics card that's not older than 30 series. 20 series is just too old. It's going to be, I'm not sure actually it's going to be discontinued very soon, but it's going to be outperformed very soon. And the games are constantly being updated and they become more demanding and require more system resources. Video editing and animation production or rendering also requires decent GPU. We would like to go with Quadro series for NVIDIA. Quadro series are generally more expensive but more durable. And we do not want to go with anything less than 8 gigabytes memory. I think that's sort of in this. So Quadro RTX is not less than 8 gigabytes. If you're doing 3D modeling, that's also the way to do that is what we do is we do GeForce series with a studio driver. So drivers are every graphics card that NVIDIA releases comes with studio driver and gaming driver. And driver is, you know what that driver is, the piece of software that sort of introduces the hardware to the other parts of the computer. So it tells the computer how this thing works. Okay? If you're running VR or augmented reality, machine learning, AI, or of course, if you're mining cryptocurrency, you do want to go with minimum RTX 3070, 8 gigabytes. Sometimes computers do not have enough ports for display as much as displays you need. Like if you need 4, they usually don't go above 3. In that case, you're going to need a graphics card on your desktop computer. Just a basic one would work if it supports the number of displays you need. And if you want higher resolution or higher refresh rate on your display, again, you need a better graphics card. So a 3080 gives you 4K at 60 frames per second. And if you want to go with 1080p, the regular 1080p, but 144 frames per second, 3060 Ti is the minimum you want to go with. Okay, let's move on to stores. Any questions so far? Okay. can someone here tell me, someone who thinks has been given some thought about how to store the data? We do generate a lot of data during our lifetime, right? We do take pictures, we create a lot of documents, and a lot of times, actually, most of the times, we would like to retain them for a long time. Has anybody had any thought about that? How do I keep my data? And if you have, what what sort of conclusions did you have? Has anybody given any thought? Nobody. How do you store your pictures?
The people in the back. Where do you store your pictures,
How do
Joe?
you store your pictures?
My phone pictures are in the cloud,
Okay.
and my other pictures are on OneDrive.
Okay. And how long are pictures are? When did you buy your first smartphone? I guess that's the first time when you became a producer, mass producer of pictures, right? When did you buy?
Long time forgotten.
Yeah.
I've had it several years.
And do you have your pictures from day zero?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've
How?
only got about less than 10,000 pictures.
Okay. Do you happen to know how much storage that is? Are you paying for
I'm paying for the 50 gig.
50 gig?
Yeah.
Do you know if you're paying for the lower resolution or the maximum
It's
resolution?
all regular resolution.
Okay. I'm not sure what app is that an Apple computer as an Apple phone?
Yeah.
Do you know the regular resolution is the
Regular-
the regular resolution? Is it then the original resolution or is it?
You have an option of on your phone if you're running out of space, you can set it to have the low resolution,
Okay,
but it still keeps the high resolution in the cloud.
in the cloud.
Yeah.
Okay.
It
So
seems to me you used to have hard drives that you would back up.
Oh yeah.
Are you still doing that?
Yeah, I'm still backing up to an external hard drive.
how do you do that? What
Copy and paste.
copy and paste?
Yeah.
And may I ask the last question? How much are you paying for that cloud?
The cloud,
Do you know?
the
I think it's
Apple for 50 gig is 99 cents a month.
a month.
Yeah.
Okay. So
OneDrive, I get the OneDrive with Windows 365,
okay.
and I get, Windows 365 at 1 terabyte. And I think that's $69 a year.
Mhm. Okay. So like $180, $200 a year you're paying for your cloud service. Okay. That's sort of indicative of the average user. Okay, bad storage practices. Storing data on a computer and the data that you would like to retain for a lifetime. Storing on your computer is not a good idea. It goes bad. Storing data on an external hard drive. A lot of people come to KY Trade and they're desperate for the data and very important data sometimes, or very valuable, sentimental valuable, or like monetary valuable data. And flash drives, external hard drives, they are not good solutions. Cloud spaces are safe, but you should still consider them one place. And that's not backup, right? If you have your data at one place, it's not backed up. Okay. So data recovery is expensive. We are the cheapest data recovery firm in this country. You don't know how much the companies charge people who are desperate again for the data. And these are our rates. So this first tier is basically not a data recovery, it's data transfer. If we can read your hard drive with what we call the computer we call Take Room Ace, it's basically a high-end computer optimized for that application. That's can cost you up to $700. If we have to dig into the hard drive, it's not going to be less than $800, more likely to be around 1,500 or above. And if the platters, I showed you the platter, right? In one of the slides. If the platter is not okay, it's going to be really, really, really expensive. And there's a good reason for why this is expensive, because it's time consuming, labor intensive, capital intensive, and you don't want to be there. Okay. Well, the key to data safety is keeping multiple copies at different locations. That's the only way you can consider your data safe. But where do I keep my my data? What do I use to keep my data? Where do I store it? Well, I can answer that question by first asking another question. Is that data something you would like to have access to the whole time? Like, I would like to have access to my pictures from the beginning of history the whole time. Whenever I want to have access to it, I would like to be able to search it on my phone and have access to it. But maybe that's not the case about my tax return documents. In case of those stuff, I would put them on mechanical hard drives. Mechanical hard drives are proven to be more reliable for that kind of application. I would grab a big full-size mechanical hard drive, copy the data to that, and not a mechanical hard drive, like 2, 3, and then copy my data over that, and then pack it securely, keep one at home, keep one at a relative's home, and keep one somewhere else, just in case. And that data can be considered safe. But if you do need to have access to it the whole time, you are pretty much limited to cloud storages. Now, it can be a cloud storage like corporate cloud storage or your personal cloud storage. That's a thing if you didn't know about it. So the cloud storage, like a corporate cloud storage, the Apple or Microsoft's or Google's cloud storage are usually considered high cost comparing with the amount of gigabytes you're going to get. So you are paying $200 for how much storage? Like roughly 100 gigabytes of storage. That's how much per gigabyte? Like $2 per gigabyte per annum, sort of.
Apple had for 50 gigabytes, 99 cents a month.
And the other one was 60.
For 200 gigabytes.
Oh, sure.
No, for 1 terabyte, let's say, is that $2.99 roughly?
I don't think it's that much. I don't think it's terabyte. It's real up there when you do a terabyte.
I think it's 50 to 200.
Yeah,
And that may be $2.99 a month.
yeah. But then the other ones go considerably higher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, whenever you do the math per gigabyte, it's going to be higher cost, and so that's one one option you can do if you're fine with the higher subscription or monthly pay. You can do cloud storage, and also back that up periodically, what we call snapshot, and do what I just said, multiple copies of mechanical hard drive stored in different places so that you would have it on different places. Now, the cloud storages, the cloud companies or service providers, they do have backup, but their backup is for them. Their backup protects them, not you. If you accidentally delete something or somebody hacks into your computer and deletes your files, a ransomware or something, it doesn't protect you. That's why you should consider backup, though any backup, even a cloud backup, as not a backup. It's just one place. Okay. And So you still need to do that HDD snapshot that I talked about. If you're okay with the moderate capital cost and don't want to pay the um, annual or the subscription, you can go with what we call NAS, network attached storage. I will dig deeper into that, but just to introduce that, that's the personal cloud storage that I mentioned. And yet, for that, you do need to do HDD or hard disk snapshots periodically, like once a year, depending on how valuable your data is. That's your decision, whether to do it monthly or annually. You should see how much of data you are okay losing. Okay, that's your decision. I cannot give you any advice about that. But if you are okay with a higher capital cost and make everything streamlined, work automatically so that you don't have to go back and do the snapshots, I would go with the network attached storage, which is backed up by another network attached storage, preferably in a remote location. So what's network attached storage? So NAS is this device over here. So in this chart, you have internet here that you have access to through your router. That's the modem. And then there's your router, and a bunch of devices are connected to your router, including the network attached storage. It's network attached, right? So it's not attached to your computer. Everything is through your network. It uses RAID technology. RAID technology is something that allows you to pool different hard drives and treat it like one single storage space. Okay. And there are different levels of RAID 1, RAID 0, RAID 1, all the way to RAID 10. And the difference between those is, well, RAID 0 is like whenever you have 4 hard drives or a number of hard drives, more than one, and you strip those and make one big storage pool out of those. Like you have 4 terabytes, you get an 8 terabyte of a chunk of 8 terabyte space. RAID 1 and above are what are other technologies that have what we call redundancy. So imagine if this is your NAS drive and it's got 4 slots for 4 different hard drives. You see that, right? If it's on a RAID 5, you are going to get an equivalent of like 3 hard drives. So you're going to put in 4 terabyte hard drives, for example. That's how much? 4 times 4, that's 16 terabyte. You are not going to get 16 terabyte if you use RAID anything above RAID 0. You're going to get less than that, but the beauty of the RAID is if any of these hard drives go bad, just any of them, you can toss that, put a new one in there, and the data is going to regenerate itself. You're not going to lose any data. Okay, so RAID drives, NAS storages are very resilient against HD failure, and they are the HDDs, the hard disks that are made for NAS, are also of a higher quality, of a premium quality. It's a special kind of hard drive, and the other thing that makes it safer than comparing with an external hard drive is that this is stationary. It doesn't move. And mechanical hard drives are very sensitive to shock. But if it's stationary, it's a lot more safe. A lot of people who come to KY trade and want data recovery, well, most of them use mechanical external hard drives, and most of them have dropped it. So it's a network device. You can have access to it through different different devices across your network, but you can also have access to it through internet, through your modem and router. That's why it's a cloud storage. It's exactly a cloud storage, um, but your personal cloud. It's at your home um, or office. And the downsides, everything has downsides and upsides. Like I said, there's a capital cost, requires some setup, but with the modern technology that I'm going to talk about in a minute, this is less of a matter. And and the RAID drives, if fail, it's going to be difficult to recover.
Okay, so that's located in your home if your computer's in your home. So it doesn't do what you would talk about, having something at your friend's house or in your safe deposit box or whatever. If you have a fire,
Correct.
it's
Yes.
okay.
That's why we recommend the snapshot. See here. NAS with snapshot. You still need to do snapshot. Or if you don't want to do the snapshot, you can have another NAS at a remote location and have this backed up on offline. I still recommend that. And let me introduce you to Synology, one of the technology computers that I really adore. Synology was a software company, and they developed a great software around this concept of NAS. So concept of NAS is not new. It's been there maybe since even 80s. And you can do a lot of things with NAS technology if you are a networking genius and have a lot of time. But this company has made basically a set of hardware or basically a operating system around the NAS that makes everything so easy and brings everything down from a networking specialist level to general use. That's really remarkable. If every company did as good as Synology, the world would have been a lot better. So everything with Synology NAS is plug and play. You can do a lot of things with very, very minimal training, and the trainings are out there. And you can not only have your data backed up and secured at the decent level, but it also provides a lot of luxuries. Like this is gonna be covering not only you, but also your family, your office, your coworkers, and even customers. Like a lot of people who use this are professional photographers, like the photographers that they use this to give access to the customers. There are and all of that is literally at your fingertip. You don't have to do a lot of things. You just search in Synology, even if you don't know anything about that. You just search in Synology. They have a support website that I forgot the name. About how a photographer can use Synology. And there's going to be apps you can install in your Synology and on your phone, and that can help you manage your customers in a very pretty, prestigious, but also efficient and safe way, and still easy. So you can cover your own needs, your family's needs, and your and other people if you need. And what I mean by covering them, I mean, of course, you can have your photos backed up there. You don't have to do anything. Okay, there's an app just like Google Photos, just like Apple Photos. You install on that, you can browse your pictures on that, and it automatically backs up your program, your pictures to your NAS, and after a while starts to delete it from your phone to preserve the storage. And you can have your drive storage for yourself. You can have a shared drive storage with yourself and your spouse. I do that, like, or passwords are there, for example, or pictures that we want to share are going to be there. Or you can do what I said, say sharing pictures using that app with other relatives and determine who has access to what. And managing the users and the level of access is easy. Now, all these were possible using the core NAS technology, but it became available for general consumer after Synology started this line of products that they call disk station. This one is DS224 Plus. If you put two 4 terabyte storage there, it's going to cost you like $550. And it's going to give you 4 terabyte of storage, even though you're using two. It's going to give you 4 terabyte of storage. Of course, you can get 8 too, but then you're not going to have the backup. That's how much? That's 500 gigabyte. That's 4 terabytes of storage for $550 one-time payment. So, and that covers, again, not only the $200 that you are paying for yourself, but also your wife and probably your teenager who seems to be devouring space and a lot of other things. Like literally a lot of other things. Like if I keep thinking, I can memorize. I can recall a lot of other things too. Like your computers can be automatically backed up over there, and if you lose your computer, there are tools to restore that. Or if you want a media center for your house to connect your media player, your central media player to disk space, to a storage space, that can help you with that. So this is what the operating system looks like. It's called DSM, and you can access to it through your browser. You can see it's a desktop, like a desktop computer. That's what. Go back. Oh, sorry. Okay. That button over there is like the start menu in Windows. And once you click that, you're going to see all the applications that are installed. Now, there are a bunch of companies that produce third-party applications for Synology. So it's like Windows. Not all the Windows applications are produced by Microsoft, right? A lot of other companies do that. And there is this package center, which is the online store of applications, and you can search your applications here. And but still, so this is a lot safer than, for example, an external hard drive. But still, I do not recommend this as a standalone data storage. I recommend you to having your snapshots or using another NAS to back this up to automatically. Now that secondary NAS doesn't have to be a sophisticated Synology NAS. It can be a cheaper NAS like Buffalo. Another company that I do like because they produce decent hardware. It doesn't have all the luxuries and the great software that Synology's got, but the hardware itself is robust and it's inexpensive. I would use that as a secondary backup and not those replaced. And this is what I've been doing myself. I have a Synology 220 plus because it's a little bit older. 22 to 24 plus wasn't there, and my Synology device is backed up on our storage at KY Trade because I have that luxury. We have a decent cloud storage at KY Trade, and we do also provide this service for secondary backup. Lawyers seem to be interested in that, so we do have a bunch of law officers that we provide that service to. So they have their own NAS that they use to store their data and share documents and do lots of other things. And that storage is backed up to our device. So if anything happens to the building, even a fire or whatever collapse or whatever happens, we still have the data here with us. It's encrypted, and they have the encryption code. So even if our data is stolen, which is not going to happen easily unless, I don't know, KGB is after our data. And but even if the data is stolen, it's just a bunch of zeros and ones. Yeah, and that reminds me to tell you, you should not also be concerned about your data safety, but also data security. Ransomware is a serious threat, and it's a lot of customers or they are infected with a ransomware, and they literally ask you to send them Bitcoin, and there's no guarantee to get back your data even if you send them the Bitcoin, and in that case we really cannot help. There's no technical way to help. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Very good. Oh my God.
Any questions?
I learned a lot. I have to say that. Things that I had no idea, and I had no idea about this either. So, yeah.
Sure.
Got a question. Your slide was talking about
That's the reason you should have numbers in your slides, and I don't.
yeah.
Sorry.
It showed bad practice.
Okay.
Whatever. I haven't noticed the recommended practice. I mean, I don't see a slide or anything to say what we should do
Okay.
as opposed to what that bad storage solutions were.
Yeah, that's
Unless
key.
it's the NAS, which is much more expensive.
So that's it. That if you are thinking about storing data for a lifetime, that is the and Synology is kind of trying to convince the consumers that data storage is something like washing machine. You need to buy it for your home. Whereas the cloud storage service providers are trying to convince the consumer that this is something you need to constantly pay for, and this is a service we provide. The other side of it is Synology that's trying to be like, it's an investment that you need. You don't see a house without washing machine or without a washer and dryer or refrigerator. This is a necessity of the modern world. And yeah, if you are wanting me to offer you a storage solution that costs as much as a flash drive costs, there's nothing like that out there. And even the best flash drive, which is like a decent external solid state drive, which is less prone to different kinds of failure, we still consider that a transfer drive. not a storage device. They are rated for transfer. Like you have your data over here, you want to transfer it to there, that's what you use. So just a quick review of what their solution is. First, you need to ask yourself, do I need access the whole time? If you do not, then it's cheap. Bunch of hard drives. If you do have access, you need to have access to your data, then yeah, some kind of cloud storage with a secondary backup, at least a secondary backup. Can you think of any other way?
I don't think so. Most of it, a lot of the other stuff is long gone. It's history.
Like what? Like the
Oh,
DHCs, and that's also what I would list under. Look, you can do that snapshots on CDs and DVDs and Blu-ray discs. That's not a big thing. I would be okay with that, but they do degrade just by sitting out there at a faster pace comparing with mechanical hard drive. So yeah, you're right. It's just hard drives is better for the exact same purpose.
You may not be finding anything you can play your disc on either.
Yes, there's that too.
Yeah.
That's one of the things they have. No, they don't. But we do recommend every household or office space to have one external hard drive because we do use them from time to time, but it doesn't make sense to have them on the computers anymore.
You said it was encrypted, so is there's like a code, a password? What if something happens to me? Can somebody else get into it then?
Yes, Synology has a way to set up inheritance or whoever is going to inherit this after a deceased person.
Any more questions? Okay, all right. Well, thank you so
But you have to, I'm sorry, thank you.
Go ahead.
But you have to set that up. If you don't, if it's not set up, it's not going to work. The data is permanent.
One more question. May not want to do this, but I was doing an informal survey before the meeting. VPNs. I need one, I know.
Okay.
I have no idea which one to go with or how to judge or.
So VPN is a technology that allows you to deceive yourself to be at some place that you're not. Okay, that comes very handy if you need to have access to your NAS from an external place. So one thing that you should have done if you didn't have Synology capabilities is to set up VPN for yourself. You don't have to do that anymore with this kind of technology. The other use of VPN is for privacy, security purposes. That's still there. If you do need that kind of security or privacy, yeah, you do want to buy VPN services with there are several services out there you can buy from them. So
I don't know which one. So
why do you need it, and why do you think you need VPN service?
just security. Yeah.
Let me back up here a little bit. I am not sure it's actually security, but I like privacy.
Okay, right.
Definitely privacy, because if you connect to a website, you're connecting to a server, right? And that server is going to be able to see who has been connected to them. But if you're through a VPN, it's just going to be a random place. They're not going to know it's you. But I'm not sure that would actually help securing with all the threats that are out there anymore. Whenever we talk security in terms of VPN and security, we talk about like a hospital. Okay. They make their own VPN with a lot of protocols and for secure as security measures, and yes, and make you to connect through that VPN so that you would pass those protocols. So the data transfer is based on those protocols. But it's not like you can get a VPN, I feel like you said. I don't feel that way.
Okay,
But definitely people,
I don't
Right.
have one, so.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
All right, good. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate you coming.
Thank you.
Great.